This is John Bramwell, Chimney Check Professionals. This is the video portion of the inspection. This is where I take a look at the inner walls of the chimney. And I take a cursory look at the firebox area. We can see some smoke staining at the outer area, basically just above the firebox. Not a horrendous amount, but certainly some smoke staining, indicating it hasn't drafted well. A lot of variables for that. I personally believe that diligent repairs to the system will correct that condition. We have a gas log set inside of the firebox. Oh, interesting, it's like a fiberglass foam material. Up in here, when we start getting a lintel, we can see some gaps where materials meet. We shouldn't have gaps. We have a damper here, kind of frozen in the open position with, I'm not sure what this is. It almost looks like somebody put it there. I doubt it's a nest. It looks like a nest, kind of, when I look at it from above, meaning when I'm looking down. But again, I doubt it's a nest. But it's certainly interesting, whatever it is. Oh, you know what? I believe now. God, it seems odd that would happen, but I believe now that this is just from stuff falling from above, from the trees. I mean, obviously, I have no way of knowing that for sure. But that's now that I look at what I see here, I kind of remember what I saw looking down, and then the trees nearby. Well, it seems logical that would be that, the trees. So basically, the bottom of the clay tile system, top of the smoke chamber, which is the transition from the fireplace shape to the flue system, we see gaps where they meet. We really shouldn't have gaps anywhere. This is where one clay tile meets another, and we can see gaps there as well to a degree, to some degrees, I mean not everywhere. Now this particular chimney, based on the movement I'm getting on the roof, is damaged. I believe it is damaged at the roof line. It could be damaged lower than that, but I do believe it is at the roof line. I don't believe there's any way to really prove that it is damaged below that point or not. Sometimes the only way to prove something is damaged by actually looking at it, pushing on it. In other words, the camera doesn't necessarily tell me. In fact, I doubt I'm going to be seeing the damage that I can perceive when I'm pushing on it. The reason for that is we have a clay liner system. The clay tiles themselves will move independent very often, in fact most of the time, independent of the actual structural part of it when there's earthquake activity. Granted, it is all built in unison, but it's pretty rare when it is so solidly constructed inside where the tiles actually move with masonry or the structural part of it. So with that, I won't be seeing a damaged tile, at least I'm certain I won't be. But once in a while I do see the actual horizontal crack in the tile or the damage to the tile at the point of damage to the structure. In any case, the damage is apparent, at least at the roof line and possibly below. Now, when we take into account the energy involved in doing a rebuild of a system, what I mean by that is the chimney has to be removed to the point of damage or lower. Then from that point of where it was removed, one would then rebuild it, and generally we're going to use a metal chimney system, and usually there's going to be a framed box around it, and oftentimes it's going to be stuccoed, that box. Someone could do a brick veneer, but that's usually quite a bit more money. So to achieve that original brick look, and sometimes the value is not there, but obviously that's not for me to decide the aesthetics of it. But in any case, a metal chimney. Now, the work of removing it, building the frame chase, and stuccoing it, yes, there is more involved if you tear it, if you go below the roof line and go all the way to just above the firebox, but not as much as you would think. In other words, the cost difference in doing a complete rebuild of the chimney, excluding the fireplace would stay. So the cost difference in a complete removal of the chimney and reconstruction as opposed to just a partial is not going to be as significant as you think, considering with the missing grouting between the flue tiles, a repair there is needed as well, and there is an expense to that and a difficulty involved there. For my dollar, for my house, I'm removing the entire chimney, and I doubt I'm going to pay more for that than I would to remove it to the roof line and then fix below the roof line as well. So therefore, that is my recommendation, is to just remove the entire chimney, and then you're done. And we don't have to rebuild this chimney again for a long time. Earthquakes won't break our chimney as well. There's the very top, there's a tree. Those pine needles are probably what we have seen at the throat. So with that comes, if you rebuild it from the roof line up, you actually have the risk of it being damaged again. So since earthquake damaged it the first time, granted there's less of a chance of it doing more damage in the next earthquake. Well, actually I shouldn't say that, because we're expecting a much bigger one than the last time. It's an unknown. So with that, let's remove some variables. At least that's my theory behind it. And there's already an expense involved. You might pay $1,000 more to do a complete rebuild, as opposed to not a complete rebuild, maybe a couple thousand more. But that extra cost, I believe, is justified. Basically the benefit to cost ratio. Obviously I can't dictate. I'm not here to do that. Just here to tell you what is wrong and what my recommendations are. Ensure you review my written report from my findings and recommendations.